See, another game Sunday, Bills and Dolphins, injury news, so much to talk about. Sal Capaccio with us on the Wester Hotline. First thing, Sal, can you believe Bulldog paid the speeding ticket from Spain? Can you believe he gave up on that struggle so easily? I can't.
I'm kind of like him, actually. Like, to be honest with you, I just don't want the hassle. I'd rather the peace of mind of just getting it done is much easier for me than the hassle of what $50, whatever, $100. Like but I also agree. Like, is this spam? Is it not? And once you realize, you're like, I just want to get it done. I don't care. Like, why worry about this an extra few days?
It was so funny to me, having thought that all along, like suspecting that it was just some breach of the rental car database or something, and I'm getting scammed out of. And when I logged in and see the picture of the car, I'm like, okay, I guess that's me. I'm fine. Okay, here's your $100. Thank you.
I never would have thought it was a scam. I just would have thought I don't need to pay it. Different.
And it's very possible I wouldn't have needed to pay it. I don't know how far that would extend. If I go to France someday to try to rent a car, is Interpol going to be like, I'm sorry, you have an outstanding speeding ticket from 6 years ago in Spain. I don't know what would have happened.
Where in the world is Bulldog? Interpol? Is he in France? Is he in New Zealand? Is Carbon Sandia? Is he in Belgium? Is he located in Belgium?
I have rented cars before I paid that ticket. I had rented a car. I rented a car in Denver. I rented a car in Puerto Rico. No problem. So maybe I would have been fine. I don't know, whatever. But I wanted it off.
It's over.
I just wanted it off my
head. It's over, Johnny.
Yeah.
All right. To the injury report. This is where we spend most of our time. You know what? Not yet. We didn't talk yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I know you've had plenty of time to talk about, reactions to the Bills not making a move. Brandon Beane spoke today. What do you make of it all?
I think after listening to Brandon, digesting everything, I think they thought they had a couple deals that they were going to make, and they didn't make them. At least one. It felt to me like today he was kind of saying without saying that, there were things that he believed were going to happen. In fact, he even said at one point, he said, candidly, if I was betting, I would have lost money in Vegas that we didn't make a deal. And, we had the restructure of Taron Johnson the day before. Now, he did explain, and I'm glad he did, because I was also trying to explain to some people, like, in order to restructure contracts, they kind of had to do it the day before that. So they did that on Monday, but I think you do that, for operating costs, but also to be ready to make a move. And it felt like they were ready to make a move, kind of the timing of all that. So I think, that they felt that they were going to make something, and it wound up not happening. B, I understand the fan sentiment. Like, you're right there, and you want your team to get over the hump and be better and improve yourself. But I also think there's been also an overreaction from a lot of fans of, oh my God, I can't believe it. They didn't do anything, and that's it. They can't win a Super Bowl. They're still a really good team with as much of a shot to win the Super Bowl as anybody else, because they're really good. And I think they're even, you'd know better than me, Mike. I don't know what the Super Bowl odds are, but they got to be number 1 or 2 or 3 at the worst, right? I mean, like that. It's just an overreaction to think that they're not good enough to do that. Of course, they are still good enough.
Yeah, no, and I even said that a few times yesterday. Like, this isn't like an end or anything. It's just, a missed opportunity to give yourself one more guy, or who knows, more than one more guy, who can make a difference for you on either side of the ball, right? I mean, sometimes it can be one play. You're one play away. They've been one play away a couple of times against Kansas City, as it turns out, on offense, but that can be on defense too. We had a caller earlier bring up the 4th and 17 from the Kansas City game on Sunday, like how much you didn't like that play, and it made things a lot tighter than it needed to be. And okay. And if I've got one more defender, in a future game, maybe one more pass rusher, one more dude, right? Maybe I make a play there. And that's what I think that's the edge you're looking for. But, as presently constituted, the Bills, of course, are still one of the Super Bowl favorites. They're one of the best teams in the league. I don't think there's any questioning that. So it is just, it tests you as a fan, because you want objectively for them to have the best chance. And so another good to great player you would think, increase your chances, even though not getting that player doesn't kill your chances.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, good to great player, that's tough, right? I mean, if that's what, people, and I know people would love that. Any team wants that and, wants to bring that in. What is the price point for that? What's the cost? he did make a comment today again about the cap. He's like, I can't afford a $15 million player, bring him in here. Meaning how much money they have on the cap. There were guys they could afford, though. There were guys they could afford. And you look around the league, some of the guys that got traded, was it okay, we're not ready to go to that price, or was it the player, right? I mean, he also spoke about the fit and bringing a guy in, and he even mentioned, especially at wide receiver, it's a tough position to onboard real quick. You're game planning. You don't have those reps with the quarterback. Like, what kind of fit is that person for what you're trying to do? How quickly can you do that? All those things have to be considered, right? So I don't think it just has to be, and of course it's part of it, he doesn't want to part with draft picks. Of course, I mean, he has to have an eye towards the future and wants to keep as competitive as a window as possible. And, those draft picks matter. I don't think it's just that. I think it's also in the here and now, how much are you truly improving your team versus the assets given up and what you're doing.
Right. And if you're going for, say, we've talked about how, it's notable. Shaheed was a player that we talked a lot about from New Orleans. It seemed very apparent he was going to get moved with an expiring contract and that team in the state that they're in. But that happened earlier in the day. And if the Bills were hunting for bigger players, bigger names, Brian Thomas Jr., Chris Olave, say, at receiver, you might not want to make a move for Shaheed at 11 a.m. or noon because you're working on something bigger, maybe also with the Saints and or the Jaguars, whatever. And then when that doesn't come through, then, you're sort of stuck. But there is also the possibility that they didn't like Shaheed going back to the draft process for some reason or another, fit scheme-wise or personality. Who knows?
He wasn't drafted.
Okay, well, they still probably would have been familiar with the player from that process, even though he didn't get drafted.
Right.
But either way, my guess, Sal, I don't know what it's worth if you agree or think this holds water, is that's maybe what happened. Like maybe they would have liked the idea of a Shaheed just fine, but it's early in the day, and they had their sights set on something more substantial, which would have been a bigger deal moving forward, too. I mean, if you were acquiring a player like either of the guys I just mentioned, Olave or Thomas, like there's a number one receiver walking through the door and a contract to come probably soon after, at least in the case of Olave. Thomas Jr. is a little younger in his career, so you would have more runway on that. But anyway, do you think it's possible they passed on a smaller fish chasing a bigger fish and then the bigger fish got away?
Sure, I think it's possible. Absolutely. And in that scenario, you'd say, like, okay, maybe that price is a little too high, and then all of a sudden they does get traded to Seattle, where, like Shaheed example, and then all of a sudden you think, well, if we knew we wouldn't get the other guy, we would have maybe met that price. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very possible that could have happened.
Well, before we get away from the deadline, what do you think of the Colts move?
Really interesting. I give the Colts a lot of credit for, being aggressive. There's no doubt about that. I would say, though, that, there's no guarantee. This is a team that they have a very tough schedule coming up. Are we really sold on Daniel Jones? I think they are. It's a move that they're sold on Daniel Jones, apparently. But, if it doesn't work out for them, it's not like do they have this really big window? I don't know, because who's the quarterback? It's Daniel Jones. I mean, what does that look like? And they just gave up 2 first-round picks. So if they don't, make it happen this year, I think there's some questioning of this pick for them going forward, to be quite honest with you. It's nice and fine to say that, but if it doesn't work out, where are they?
I like that point that made the rounds a lot yesterday, that, the trade is, it's a bet on Sauce Gardner. It's also a bet on Daniel Jones. Or it's a bet on the coach. They maybe think, or maybe the coach thinks, I turned Daniel Jones into this. I'll find me another guy that's on the outs that everybody's laughing at, and I'll find a skill set and I'll make it work. So even if Daniel Jones derails, maybe I think I can do this again.
Well, maybe that's the case, but that's not
it's
easy
a hell of
to
a
do.
bet, right? It's a big bet,
and you're also going to do it without 2 first-round picks
right.
to help out. And you traded A.D. Mitchell, who I know that there's got to be stuff there, but what's that as far as their receiving game and passing game? And Michael Pittman's a really nice player, yes, for sure, but Jonathan Taylor's not getting any younger. He's excellent. He's also been in the league a while, right? Like Zaire Franklin defensively, they have some. I don't know. Their roster is it. If the Bills played the Colts today in the AFC Championship, regardless of where it is, aren't the Bills favored?
Probably.
I think so.
Maybe not in Indianapolis.
Yeah, maybe what you're saying about them and their roster, maybe that's all the more reason to go for it right now with Gardner, right? If they're even though they're new on the scene, if they're not like a team that's got a bunch of young building blocks, say, and instead rather a team that's ready to win, and what they really needed was a quarterback to show up and be
Yep.
a lot better than competent. He's playing at an MVP level. Then maybe that's time. Let's go for it.
Yeah, for sure. And I found it interesting that they did that, but yet it wasn't just the Bills guys.
Right.
Chiefs didn't make a move, and yet in here I'm reading Chiefs fans blasting Brett Veach for not making a trade for Breece Hall, right? And I'm reading that. Patriots didn't make a move. Steelers didn't make a move. Broncos, who were supposed to be the super aggressive team, maybe they don't make a move. So yeah, it's not just the Bills, and like a lot of teams just kind of stood pat. And real quick, I'll say about the Jets. They've done this before. I mean, all of us three, we go way back to talking about draft picks and how great they are. Well, guess what? They've had lots of draft picks, and they've actually hit on a lot of draft picks. But until they hit on the quarterback, it doesn't matter. It's rinse and repeat. And they can do this all they want. They got to hit on the quarterback. What they did, though, to me yesterday was a bet on Aaron Glenn. This is Aaron Glenn's team. I think that's Aaron Glenn and him saying, this is like Sammy Watkins and Ron Darby. McDermott and Bean come in and go, doesn't fit me, let's restart. And he better be right.
With Sal Capaccio, the Bills have, again, their share of names on the injury report today, 6 DNPs, and a couple are new names. Can you tell, you have to go case by case, or can you tell if this is more of a play it safe Wednesday kind of thing, or do we have important updates?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a little concerned that, anytime we don't get a name like Christian Benford before practice and then he's on the injury report, we've been down this road a few times this year.
Yeah.
He shows up with a groin as limited. So what happened? Did something happen at practice? We don't know. So that'll be something to monitor. It was the only one we didn't know about, though, going in. Otherwise, good news, I guess, that Terrell Bernard is at least doing something. He's limited. And Joshua Palmer doing something. He's limited. So that's good news, obviously. Still no Daquan Jones, not doing anything. Taron Johnson, quick turnaround time. He got hurt Friday. Still not doing anything with his groin. AJ Epinesa, we found out in concussion protocol today. So that's new he finished the game. He's in concussion protocol. I think James Cook, his injury came on like the first drive of the game.
Yep.
And he finished. So who knows? You could have some soreness and swelling, and that could wind up impacting him. But I at least want to say, okay, at least he finished the game. And then I don't know about Joey Bosa. He finished the game. He talked with us in the media in the locker room. And then a wrist injury, though, is what's going on there? So something to monitor, obviously.
Yeah, and there's some sleuthing going on that this might indicate that he hurt his wrist a little bit in the Carolina game, even. Not that it ever got listed, but that there was evidence of him like sort of shaking it or whatever. So maybe it's something that's just been kind of lingering around here. But yeah, it's wild, Sal, to think back in the summer and all the conversations around James Cook and their running game and their running backs. Like, Ray Davis was so promising as a rookie. Ty Johnson's really good. Like, the usage should continue to be the same, and that hasn't been the case. Neither of those other guys, I mean, Johnson made a couple of plays. He scored a touchdown on Sunday. It's really the first time he has shown up at all. Davis, we're still waiting. I mean, he ran a couple of kicks back on Sunday again, but that, as far as the running game goes, suddenly it's like we're a long ways from just plug somebody else in there. Like Cook on the injury report is like, I got the big eyeball emojis going when I see that.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I get it. And he's from South Florida. I'm sure he'd love to play there in this game. And he's having such a fantastic year. I will say though, this is a different opponent than last week, obviously, and it is a division game, and it's the Miami Dolphins, and anything can happen, but they just traded Jalen Phillips. It looks like Chop Robinson might not be able to go in this game. We'll see. He's in concussion protocol. Rasul Douglas probably not going to be able to play. He's been pretty good for them this year on the defensive end. This is, to me, like not nearly the same caliber of defense as you're playing last week, right? So we'll see where that goes with them.
Couple more minutes with Sal. Are you in the camp that thinks Dalton Kincaid just simply should play more, or is his usage more sort of understandable because of the game script, especially I guess the Carolina game? But we're seeing him pop in terms of production, but still not play a lot.
I am not in the camp that he should play more. I think a big reason why he's so productive is because he's playing the amount that he is right now and not overtaxing him. I think it really helps to be able to have the two tight ends they have. Now, that's not to say if he doesn't play more, he would be, oh my God, like he's not that productive. What I'm saying is the efficiency is great because you look at the numbers. The reason why the Bills' offense is, so high in so many areas is really because of their run game. And, they have Jackson Hawes and they have Dawson Knox, and especially Jackson Hawes and Reggie Gilliam. There's only so many guys you can put on the field, and that run game relies on those guys to be on the field. So, yeah, it's great what he's doing efficiently. But I don't need him to play more if you're going to keep running the ball. And the way you're running the ball is without Dalton Kincaid really on the field, to be quite honest with you.
Okay. Any questions for us today?
No, I think I'm good. Did you guys? Did it get really, really, really windy over there? Because here, like literally like garbage cans on the street and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've got an awning on my porch that today was the day I looked out there and went, man, I should have taken that down on the weekend because it's just it can get damaged. Hopefully it won't, but I'm hoping to take it down as soon as I get home tonight in the dark.
Yeah.
But I just want to get it off the porch because it's in peril.
It's always Dolphins weather in this studio, though.
Right.
It's not windy. It's hot. There's lights right in my face. It's the same. It's why I wear shorts in here every day, no matter what it's like outside.
All right, Sal. We'll catch up tomorrow.
You got it, guys.
There's Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to